13-year-old Hannah Williams lost a quarter of her body weight during the last years of her life as she was beaten, denied food, forced to sleep in a barn, and given cold outdoor showers with a garden hose. Sometimes she was given nothing but a towel to wear. Hannah Williams was homeschooled. If she had been in school, someone might have noticed that she was emaciated. But she was homeschooled, and so her parents had complete privacy to punish her without anyone noticing. She died naked, face down in the mud in her backyard. Unfortunately, Hannah Williams is not alone. Reports have shown that over 750,000 homeschooled children are being abused each year in the United States. While homeschooling has its merits when administered by the right parents, unregulated homeschooling exposes many children to regular abuse. Today, we will venture into the silent world of homeschooling by first exploring its detrimental problems it presents. Second, dive deeper into the implications and causes. Third, discuss some of the nuances, before finally proposing a legislative solution that will establish protections for 750,000 children. Abuse is common in households of homeschooled children because homeschooling promotes a dangerous environment. Rachel Coleman, an Indiana University PhD student who studies children, writes that parents who homeschooled their children are more likely to become more abusive. Because the practice is almost entirely unregulated in much of the country, it allows parents to hide their crimes and deny any access to protective resources at school or in the community. As he notes, homeschooling enables parents to isolate their children. That enables them to abuse them. Regulation of homeschool is still reportedly very minimal, even in states where regulation has been implemented. Heather Donnie and Rachel Coleman, two students who themselves have been subjected to homeschooling themselves, have documented dozens of horrendous cases on their website, Homeschooling's Invisible Children. Documented cases of abuse include fatalities, food deprivation, imprisonment, physical abuse, and even worse, sexual abuse. For these children, crimes like sexual abuse become accepted as norms because they were never taught so otherwise. Donnie and Coleman have personally documented 70 cases of sexual abuse in the last decade. One of those cases is the story of Selena and Savannah, two daughters who were sexually abused by their adult brother Michael. When Selena told her mother about the abuse, her mother responded by disciplining her. When Selena went to school officials, her mother began to homeschool her so that she would not spread lies. The abuse didn't stop there, but only intensified, as her mother would constantly beat her children with a belt until they listened to her. Second, homeschooling can not only foster an abusive environment, but it can also cause children to become more reclusive. Homeschooling children often do not have as many opportunities to interact with other children. Socializing, however, is important for their developmental health and social aptitude. Homeschooled children are often denied access to social interactions to build their social skills. This limited environment stunts their future prospects, often leading to serious mental illnesses, such as depression. The main cause of abuse in a homeschooled household is the lack of regulation it provides. The Daily Beast reports that in 10 states, homeschooling is completely unregulated. And in 15 more, parents only have to notify their school district that their child will be learning at home. There are no minimum educational standards, no curriculum review, and no testing or monitoring to make sure that any education is taking place at all. Legal expert in anti-violence Roger Caniff even states that when the wrong parent or parents homeschool, the result can be far worse than just a badly educated child. An abusive parent who homeschools has more than a captive audience. he or she has also essentially a caged one. One story that stands out to me is the story of Sean and Lynn Paddock. In 2008, they purposefully suffocated their 4-month-old child. They also duct taped their mouths of their 5 other adopted children, forced them to eat their own vomit and feces, put soap in their eyes, and beat them with PVC pipes. Unfortunately, this information only came out after the abuse of their 4-month-old child's death. Their 5 adopted children were so far cut off from the outside world that seeking help was just not an option. Now, I don't deny that homeschooling has its merits. Homeschooled children often do well on standardized tests, become self-directed learners, and build stronger family ties. However, we owe it to the hundreds and thousands of children around the nation to regulate the practice more closely to both protect the merits of homeschooling while preventing abuse. To do so, I advocate a 2-pronged legislative solution to Congress. First, we must implement a stronger security system to provide more social services, to provide more frequent checkups on students who are being taught at home. More frequent and adequate checkups should ensure the proper education that our students should be having. Second, Congress should pass a law that states that any parent that decides to homeschool their children must pass a background check to ensure that they don't have a history of child abuse. That way we can ensure that the parent is both liable and trustworthy enough to ensure the proper treatment and education that our students should deserve. Finally, legislation can only go so far. It is imperative that we take precautions towards these invisible children of homeschooling. Because they cannot speak for themselves, it is up to us to report any potential abuse to the authorities. Look for children with suspicious bruises. Wear inappropriate clothing to cover up the bruises. Excessive fear and anxiety from touch. Detachment to parents. Or when a parent is belittling, shaming, or humiliating their child. If you suspect a case of child abuse, please do not hesitate to call the National Child Abuse Hotline at 1-800-4A-CHILD. For the earlier help these abused children receive, the greater chance we have to heal and break this perpetuous cycle of abuse. When homeschooling falls into the hands of the wrong parents, the results can be truly disastrous, and it is the children who suffer. We must realize that this abuse must be stopped, and the time to act is now. The more perishing children we see dying more and more each year, the less evolved our society will become in the future generations. Hannah Williams' parents were incarcerated, but only to the point when they've abused their child to the point of death. We must come as one to stop this unrelenting problem before we see any other children from suffering the same fate as Hannah Williams.